Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of Iblis Manifestations podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all. And as you can see, this is going to be another solo episode, and I'm going to try my very best to keep this as short and as concise as possible. So, first and foremost, hope you have all been having a very good time. Okay. And if you're not, I hope that perhaps some of the advice and things that I have to share here might potentially help you with some of that, or at least give you broader shoulders to carry the weight. Now, we will get into that in a moment. First thing is first, as many of you know, I am a fitness coach and I run the company Trial by Fire. And for those of you who don't know, I used to be someone who used to be massively overweight, out of shape, a variety of substance issues, with alcohol and all other kinds of crap, which, of course, come hand in hand with the culture of rock and roll and heavy metal that I still very much love and adore, by the way. But these are things that can hurt us more than they can help us a lot of times. And I'm at a point in my life where I like to strive for greatness as best as I can. I'm not perfect, but I like to be able to at least reach for the stars. And you need to do that even in order to be able to reach the branches of the trees. And this is the thing that I also like to promote and put out there. People can take it or they can leave it. But if you're someone who's interested in self-betterment and self-improvement, I'm going to share some very basic information here with you on this episode that can hopefully help you out with that. Okay? Now, with that said, I'd like to just quickly open up a bracket here to say that on Trial by Fire, I will be starting some group coaching very soon, okay? And this is going to take us from the 1st of November, and that's when we're going to be starting, and that's going to take us all the way up to the end of January. It's basically a group project where I will be giving you instructions for a plan on how to follow to basically get to the best position in terms of physical health and also physical strength. And of course, that will then go hand in hand with your mental state as well. But the way it's going to be working is that it's going to be group coaching. So it's not going to be as specific as the one-to-one online coaching that I do with my clients. However, this is something that we're all going to be participating in. And it's just going to be a one-off payment. And then we will be doing the weekly check-ins together. And you will get basically your own plan for how to train, what to eat. And then we'll keep in touch and see how your progress is going along. So if you're interested in that, all of that information is going to be available very soon through Trial by Fire. So now what I'm going to be talking about on this episode, I appreciate that a portion of the people who tune into the podcast are already experienced athletes or people who have already been training for some time. Now, if you're someone who's quite experienced and you're in very good shape, the information may not necessarily be that new to you, although you may still find some very useful tips here and there. My point in putting this content out there is, well, first and foremost, with this channel, I've always tried to put value out there into the world. I want to give value to the audience and the listeners, and that's really the main reason why I do this. So, for the sake of karmic benefits, if anything, I'm hoping that what I'm going to share with you guys will at least help you kind of get kick-started. So long story short, if you are someone who is at least somewhat of a beginner, or if you know that you need to lose weight if you want to become stronger, or if you just want to put on more muscle, if you want to do that but don't necessarily know where to start, I'm going to break this down as simply as possible for you and hopefully give you some advice that's going to make that as easy as possible for you. Again, just to give you a little bit of background on myself for anyone who is unaware of this, or perhaps you're new to the channel, I used to be someone who used to be, 119 kilos, okay? I'm currently sitting at 85 kilos, which is, by the way, the heaviest I've actually been since last year. And obviously the lightest I've been in this time is 75 kilos, okay? Now, what I've done is I've lost the weight, but I've been able to keep it off. And as I said, there were a lot of very unhealthy habits that I had. I'd never been to the gym. I always used to think that the gym is for egocentric Instagram influencers, which, by the way, that is still partially true, but it's not exclusive to that. To me, once I started doing the training and the dieting and all of that, I realized fairly early on that, okay, this is a philosophical process first and foremost, and it's an alchemical process, which if you're someone who's interested in spirituality and esotericism, I actually think there's a very large place for physical exercise within those dominions. And this is one of those things that unless you've done it, you perhaps might not necessarily have that perspective. Okay. So I'm going to start with really simple advice as to how we can do this, but it is something that once you get started and once you start applying this to your own life and you start seeing the change that you can have over yourself and your life and the ownership that you can take over your life simply by exercising and by implementing discipline, a key word there, discipline. Once you realize that when you add that to your life, how much that can actually help you in other areas of life, your mindset, your confidence, and how you interact with the world, it really is a game changer. Okay, so again, that's the reason why we're doing this episode. So just to kind of start with everything, once again, this is intended for people who are beginners and don't necessarily know where to start. And I can guarantee you that within 5 or 6 months, if you stick to some of the advice that I'm about to give here, you will probably be seeing some significant changes, okay? Hopefully not just to your physical health, but to your mental health as well. I'm a big advocate for that. And I think it's important for us to take accountability and ownership for this rather than just blame everything out there every fucking second that goes by, okay? Which is, by the way, that's what I used to do when I was out of shape, when I was a fucking crazy person and just thought, thought the least of everything and everyone on this planet. In hindsight, I look back at that and realize that was just a reflection of me and who I was at that time. Okay. And I know it may seem like an exaggeration, but honestly, just starting to train, just starting to get my shit together, just starting to implement discipline on a day-to-day basis literally changed all of that. Okay. And that's not to say that life becomes easier. No, if anything, it allows you to operate life at a higher difficulty. Okay, this is a very important thing to keep in mind there. That's the importance of discipline and the confidence that comes with continued application of discipline on yourself in your life. When you keep seeing that you are winning, that you are earning and gaining these wins for yourself, because no one can hand this down to you. You can't pay for it with money. It's literally something that you have to earn with your own hands and hard work, and nature will reward you for it. It's a fascinating, fantastic process. It's one of my favorite things in the world. But this is a process that you can then take and use the confidence that you gain from it and apply it in all other different areas of life. Okay. And if you are already someone who is high achieving, then you will still need this in order to stay grounded and to stay sober and to stay focused and sharp, because you can also still very much get lost in your work as well. That's also a problem. So anyway, I can talk about the mental benefits of this all day. I have done some previous episodes. There was another one I did called Trial by Fire, which is of course the same name as my fitness company, but that one is more so focused on perhaps the mental health side of things. This one, I just want to give advice that I know fucking works, and I know that it works for everyone, okay? So we're just going to jump straight into that, okay? And once again, thank you for joining me on Iblis Manifestations. It's great to have you here. So, first things first. Everyone always talks about training. What's the best training style? For a beginner, if you're someone who's just starting out, the best thing that you can do is a push-pull legs type of a program, okay? It's extremely basic, okay? And in fact, it's somewhat minimal, but if you're first starting out, this will probably be the most efficient way to build muscle. Now, why do you need to build muscle? Okay, a lot of people immediately in their heads think that, oh, I don't want to get too big, I don't want to get too muscular, I just want to get lean. Or some people throw this word around saying they just want to get toned. I say that in quotation marks for anyone who's not watching the video. And this term annoys the fucking life out of me, which, by the way, I know it doesn't come from a bad intention when someone says that, but it's just a little bit of a misinformed term, okay? I want you to kind of take a step back and look at it like this. So when I was first starting to lose weight and I didn't necessarily know what to do, I was just doing a bit of research and just looking at different people, and there's so much garbage out there on the internet. I really didn't know where to start, okay? One of the very interesting things that I learned early on that kind of helped shape my perspective on this and what could actually be effective in weight loss, which it did end up being exactly the case, by the way, it was a correct prediction, was when I found out that Arnold Schwarzenegger used to have something like 5,000 calories just for his maintenance. Now, if I had had 5,000 calories, that would have just turned me mega fat. Okay, I already was mega fat at the time, by the way, but if I had had that amount of calories, that would have made me really fat. But then Arnold was in phenomenal shape, spectacular. He was Mr. Olympia. He was like in as good of a shape as a human would have been in the 70s. So I started to reflect on that a little bit, and then, of course, comes the fact that the more muscles that you have, the more calories you burn. This is a fact. It's like the engine of a car. The bigger the engine, the more fuel that car is going to consume. And in the case of your body, that is something that you do actually want, because essentially you will get away with eating more food. Okay? Now, that's not to then put the idea in people's head of like, you know, what people might see on like Dwayne Johnson's Instagram with his like French toast and whatever, you know, the cheat meals that he has that he posts out there. Some people will see that and think if they eat like that all the time, they're going to turn into him. That is not true. That's not how it's going to happen. He's a genetic specimen. He also has access to the best drugs and supplements that you can find. And he's also a very determined individual. I'm not going to take that out of it. Okay, so this is something you're going to keep in mind. But nevertheless, you need muscle. The more muscle that you have, the more calories you will burn. And you will burn that in your resting period as well. So you don't necessarily have to go on a 10-mile run to fucking burn calories. Now, we are going to come down to cardio, but first we have to discuss resistance training. Resistance training should be an essential for every human on the face of the earth, okay? Provided that that they are able-bodied and they can actually lift weights, and even then, there are still plenty of people who, let's say, might be disabled from the bottom down, but they might even compete in a disabled variation of bodybuilding. You know, while they're trained their upper body, and I find that so fucking admirable, and I think that a lot of people could learn from that. Okay, so anyway, bit of a tangent there. But everyone needs to lift weights. The more weights that you lift, it will help you not only with adding more muscle to your body, but it will help you with prevention of diabetes. It will help you with prevention of any kind of bone disease, because it actually, as a matter of fact, also adds to your bone density as well. This is something that a lot of people perhaps don't realize, is that you literally get thicker bones from training and doing resistance training. And there's a variety of other stuff as well, and the more mental health stuff, which I've already kind of touched on here. Okay, so you want to train. How you do that, especially if you're a beginner, just do push-pull legs. You can look this online. It's the simplest fucking thing ever. So I'll make an example. Okay, so push is when you do push movements. So that is going to be chest, shoulders, and triceps. Okay, and then pull is going to be your back and biceps and rear delts. And then you can do legs, and then legs is just legs. Some people like to do legs and shoulder together, and then just do the chest and tricep on the first day. Some people like to do chest, tricep, shoulders, and then back and biceps, rear delts, and then on the last day, just do legs, okay? So it's fairly simple. You literally, all you have to do is just go online and search for a push-pull legs program, and then you can just train based off of that. It is literally that fucking simple. Best way to put that in a week, so you've got 3 days of training, and you do want to respect your recovery. So the thing that I always recommend to a lot of my clients, if they are going to be on a 3-day program, is, so I'll make a hypothetical example. You want to train Monday, you want to have Tuesday off, train Wednesday, have Thursday off, train Friday, then have your Saturday and Sunday off. And when I say off, I mean off from resistance training. Okay, you can still do cardio and get all your steps in on those days off and the rest of it, but it's really important that you get those 3 days in. And it's even better if you try and get a day of rest in between, okay? Why is that? Is because your body doesn't grow when you are in the gym, but rather when you are resting. So when you go to the gym, you apply minor damage and tears to the muscle fibers. And then once you go home, once you eat, once you rest, your body basically recovers and heals, and you come back stronger and bigger. That's basically how it works. Now, this is a process that happens at a very minuscule scale, especially if you're a natural. But nevertheless, that is how it works, okay? That's how you get guns like this, all right? It's very simple. All you got to do is just keep repeating that process. It's really not that complicated, okay? Now, the next thing that I would like to discuss is the cardio, okay? And with cardio, a lot of people who want to lose weight will only do cardio. I think that's a huge mistake, okay? You are literally making life so fucking miserable for yourself. And a lot of cardio for someone who isn't as used to a healthier lifestyle is not gonna be sustainable, okay? Especially if you have a lot of body fat to shift. Okay, let's say that you do actually, let's say you do 3 months of intense cardio and you lose that body fat. Well, what's gonna happen when you stop? You're gonna put the fucking weight back on. That's what's gonna happen. So this is why you need to learn the correct nutrition habits, but equally as important to that, if not more, you need to build muscle. You need to build more muscle so that your natural default is to burn more calories when you're resting, okay? And then not have to rely as much on this intense, horrendous cardio that you're gonna do. Now, when it comes to doing cardio, my general philosophy of it is that it is a health essential, but I almost wouldn't even do it just for the sake of weight loss. I would do it because it's good for your cardiovascular health, okay, which is an extremely important thing. All right, and especially for a lot of people who are sat down most of the day, that's what, like 90% of jobs in today's world. It's important that you're moving around. My recommendation for cardio, again, for those beginners who are picking up on this, best thing to do is 3 to 4 or perhaps even 3 to 5, I would say 20-minute or 30-minute sessions per week. That's fine. That's more than enough that you need there, okay? And if you're really struggling with that, and if you're starting out and you have a lot of excess fat and excess weight on you, maybe even just do 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes. Just see what you can do, all right? But prioritize resistance training. That's where the real magic's at, okay? Now, in conjunction with that, what's extremely important, and again, this is something I give to all of my clients, is you want to make sure you're getting your steps. Walking and steps are a crucial part of weight loss, okay? They're extremely underrated. And all you gotta do is, as a bare minimum, this is my recommendation, try and hit 6,000 steps per day, okay? And really, that shouldn't take long. That should be no more than 45 minutes of your time per day, okay? That's not a lot of fucking time to dedicate to that when we spend fucking however many hours a day scrolling on TikTok and looking at bullshit that's making us stupid anyway. All you gotta do is just I don't know, listen to a podcast, listen to whatever. You can stick on Iblis Manifestations, or you can listen to something that you think is more entertaining or interesting to you, or just listen to good music, no problem. Just go on a walk, aim for a minimum of 6,000 steps. You can get a step tracker on your phone or get the watch, whatever you like, Fitbit, doesn't matter. And ideally, if you can hit 10,000, that's kind of the magic spot, okay? But minimum of 6,000, ideally 10,000 steps a day. You're on to a winner, okay? Track that, and honestly, even for the sake of mental health, just going for a walk and breathing and just looking outside rather than just staring at the screen that's right in front of you, it will be a lot better for you, okay? Now, that kind of covers more of the physical side of things. And again, this is very minimal advice, okay? But I just want people out there who perhaps can't afford a coach or just want to have a place to start before they commit to a coaching program to at least have something that you can work with, okay? And this is shit that works. It just works, okay? There's no arguing with it, okay? Now, and of course, there are nuances within all of this, but those nuances for a beginner are a fucking problem. That's why a lot of these social media influencers, again, I think are a fucking menace to people actually trying to get healthy, because they put so much intricate, complex information out there for the sake of content that people lose touch with the basic shit that just works. So my job is to remind you of the basic shit, or at least make you aware if you didn't already know. So that basically covers us for the physical side of things. And again, stretches are good. Yoga is actually very good. It's a lot harder than people realize it is. But again, honestly, resistance training and walking, you do that, you're going to fucking lose weight. Okay? Now, that has to be in conjunction with this other thing, which I'm about to get into now. So dieting and eating, right? I'm going to keep this as simple as possible. Okay, I've had other episodes. There's an episode I did before called You Are What You Eat, where I talked about a lot of the minute nuances. I'm not going to get into that today. I'm just going to give you a really simple advice that will definitely work. And you can try this for yourself. So what you need is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's extremely simple to measure, okay? Just weigh yourself on a specific day of the week, ideally Mondays, just because it's the beginning of the week. You do that on an empty stomach, find out how much you weighed. And if you haven't done this for a while, good luck. The sooner you face that number, the better. And once you find out what that is, then obviously 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Let's say if you weigh, I don't know, 160 pounds or 200 pounds, let's say. If you weigh 200 pounds, that's 200 grams of protein per day. It's really that simple, okay? Now, they say, ideally, it's 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. I think, quite frankly, if you're a beginner and if you're just starting out, ignore that part. Just have 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. You will actually probably find it's way more protein that you needed to be eaten in the first place, and you've probably been under eating it, because this pretty much happens to everyone. But that's all you got to do, okay? You have that, and it'll sort you out. The next thing, which is extremely important, perhaps as far as weight loss is concerned, it is the most important thing, in fact, that's your calories, okay? All you've got to do is find out what your maintenance calories are. You can literally go online. You can use ChatGPT, whatever the fuck you want to do. Just go online. In fact, one of my recommendations is if you go on Google and just search calorie calculator, there's this really old website on there. It's very useful. And then it'll give you the different options for like moderate weight loss or just weight loss. And when you go on there, you add your weight, you add your age, you add your height, you add your level of activities. Now, if you're going to be doing push-pull legs, so you're going to have up to 3 sessions of training per week. So you add that in there, and then you find out exactly how many calories you need to be eating to lose weight. And then that, in conjunction with the protein code that I just gave you, so 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, You combine those two together, okay? So forget the carbs and the fats or whatever. You combine those two things that I just said together, you're going to fucking lose weight. It's really that simple. It's not hard, okay? It's just knowing what to do, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, so you know what to do. And I'm doing this for free because I want people to have a place to start at the very least, okay? And we can talk about coaches, we can talk about hiring someone. There are different nuances to that, and there is a lot of value to hiring a coach. I just want to give this blueprint out there. It's already out there. I'm just reminding you of it, and I'm telling you what actually works so that you have a place to start on your own if you have to, okay? Now, another thing that a lot of people will ask me about, and again, as I said, if any of you have further questions, you can either ask me in the comments or you can message me, or if you're really serious about a fucking plan and you want something that's specifically tailored to you, if you want someone to make it for you, then you can get in touch with me for the Trial by Fire coaching program, or you can even join the online, the group coaching that I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, okay? So you do have that option at your disposal as well. And then that will include me checking your form and watching how you're training as well by you sending in videos and us doing the weekly check-ins and everything. So you have that as well, okay? But just coming back into it, one of the very common questions that I will always get, and pretty much I think every fitness coach on the face of the earth gets amongst when they're doing one of their first client calls, is supplements. Which supplements should I be taking? Okay. I'm going to keep this as brief and as fucking simple as possible for you. Okay. Number one, creatine. This is, I think, the best supplement that there is out there. In terms of bang for your buck, the quality, what it does for you, you just cannot go wrong with it. Okay, and no, creatine is not steroids. You know, it's funny. I used to think that when I first started, I had no idea what it was. I was just thought, oh, all these crazy guys take it. No. Creatine is a food supplement. Okay, it's extremely beneficial to you. It's very healthy for you to have. It will help you with your short-term strength. It will help you with your recovery. It will also help you cognitively as well, as a lot of research is starting to show now. So all you need for creatine, 3 to 5 grams per day. Have it with water or mix it into a shake. Maybe ideally have it next to some carbohydrates, okay, for better absorption. And that's it. You don't need to do a load in where you have like 25 grams a day for 5 days and then you have it for 3 weeks, then come off it. You don't need to do any of that shit. Just have 3 to 5 grams a day and you're good to go. If you're a bigger person, you might need a little bit more than that, okay, but just make sure that you're well hydrated at the same time as having it. That's literally it. So that's your creatine for you, okay? As I said, cannot go wrong with it. I've pretty much had creatine every day, I think, for like the last 4 or 5 years, I'm going to say, with the odd few days of break in between where I've been traveling or touring with the band where I didn't have access to it. Normally, I take it on the road with me anyway. But yeah, that's how beneficial it is, okay? You don't have to take yourself off of it. Just make sure you stay hydrated, all right? And that's creatine. Number 2, whey protein isolate. You want to look into the sourcing of this, okay? So you want to make sure that ideally it's not something that has aspartame as the sweetener, okay? Aspartame is a really shitty sweetener. It can cause cancer. So as long as it doesn't have that and, you know, it has as little sweeteners as possible, it's sourced well and it's lean, so it's just whey protein isolates, you know, so none of the mass gainer stuff, because a lot of those are just filled with fucking sugar. They're terrible for you. Just get whey protein isolate. You can look up different brands. I think Gold Standard's kind of like an easy one where you just can't go wrong with it. They got good flavors. They're not sponsoring this podcast. I'm just speaking from experience. And you can go for that. If you're a vegan, you can always get pea protein as well. It's not as good in terms of bioavailability, but it will massively help you, because if you're vegan or vegetarian, protein's going to be harder to get. So you should definitely consider that option. And but then the thing with having protein shakes is that It's not a necessity to have it, first and foremost. You're only having it so that it helps you. It's a supplement. It's there to help you hit your macro goals. So let's say if you've got 200 grams of protein to hit, but your food that you've eaten throughout the day is only bringing you up to, like, let's say 170 or 180, then that scoop of protein shake is going to help you hit that goal. Okay. And the calorie contents are generally quite lower as well, especially if you just mix it with water. It's practically nothing. It's like free protein. So that's what it's there for. Okay. You don't have to have it. I don't have it myself anymore just because I get all of my protein directly sourced from food. But that's also because I know what the fuck I'm doing, and I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not against it. It's just my preference. So if you need it to hit your numbers, then it's there for you. Okay. And the other thing is just your general multivitamins. Okay. Zinc is particularly useful. And magnesium. There are different forms of magnesium. I won't confuse you guys with that. Just go for those things. And so your creatine, whey protein isolate, if you need it to hit your protein goals, which you might do if you're first starting out and don't know how much protein you need to have in a day. And third, just start with multivitamins, and then you can get more intricate with that if you wish. Again, this is beginner, really basic level advice. Okay, and that pretty much concludes the advice. Okay, so I'm just going to do a very quick summary for you. Lift weights, resistance training, okay, and diet, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, and then make sure that you're in a calorie deficit. Make sure that you're getting steps, 6 to 10,000 a day. And lastly, if you want supplements, you don't have to have them, but if you want to have it, start with creatine, and then you can have your multivitamins and whey protein isolate if you need it. That is literally all you have to do to fucking get in shape. And I promise you that if you have never done this before, if you dedicate yourself for 5 or 6 months to just doing this, you will see tremendous shift and result within yourself, and also just in how you feel. Now, don't expect to turn into fucking Dwayne Johnson or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Chris Bumstead in 5 or 6 months. That's not how this works, okay? Most people can't get to that point. But this is, again, you're not competing against anyone else. You are competing against yourself. You want to make sure that you can become the best version of yourself that you can become. Now, I've also heard the idea that you should compare yourself to other people. I kind of see the value in that also, but I think that, like, for example, when I was first starting out, if I, as at the time, an overweight, completely noob person, compared myself to, say, someone like Chris Bumstead, I would have been like, oh, this is pointless. I'm never going to be like that, so I'm just not going to bother. Okay? So sometimes it is good to just focus on yourself. Okay? It's good to just go to the gym, not be concerned too much. Oh, that guy's lifting this much weight. That guy's lifting that. That girl's lifting this. Oh, that girl's squatting more than me. Wow, what the fuck? Don't focus too much on that. Okay? Just focus on what you're there for and your own mission, and just keep showing up. All you got to do is just keep showing up, okay? If you do 1 week of this, that's great. But if you do 2 weeks of it, that's better. If you do a month of it, even better. If you do 6 months of it, fuck, you're going to turn into a monster. You do a year, holy shit, that's a total transformation. That's how you should be approaching this. I've said this before, there's this Persian proverb, it's one of my favorites of all time. It says, قطره قطره جمع گردد دریا شود. It means, drop by drop, it gathers and becomes the sea. Consistency is the key. You keep showing up for yourself, and you're going to reap those rewards. But the way to do it is to do it consistently. You got to be consistent. You got to hit those 3 days a week. You got to hit those calories on a day-to-day basis. You got to hit those step goals. And even if it's not perfect, you want to be as close to it as you can. And just simply doing this will literally change your life. The same way it did mine, and the same way that it's doing for thousands, if not millions of people out there, and the same way it's also done for all of my clients on the trial by fire path. It never fails to work. Okay? That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes this episode. I hope the information that I've shared with you has been useful. Once again, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section, okay? I know that these episodes don't necessarily get the same number of views as if I'm interviewing someone big from the scene, and I don't care. I really don't care. I want to share this because I want to help you guys, and I really enjoy when I'm at a show or whatever, and then someone comes up to me from a completely different part of the world, someone I've never even spoken to online, and then they come up to me and then say, I heard that you said such and such, and I have since then lost 100 pounds, or I've lost 40 kilos, or I've lost 20 kilos. Doesn't matter. When I hear that, I fucking love it, okay? And I hope that the contents of this episode will serve you in the same way. And then perhaps someday, if you do see me at a show, or you know where my online accounts are, if I'm still online by that point and haven't disappeared into the void, you can come and message me and let me know about how you got on with this, okay? So that's really the point. And of course, to once again conclude on the point, if anyone is actually serious about getting a coaching program and you are really ready to throw yourself in it, then of course you can sign up to Trial by Fire. So the link for that is in the description. You can do that. And let's not forget, we've got the group coaching option coming up on the 1st of November. That one is more of sort of like a teaser and a taster where you'll get to see what it's like to work with me, but it's more so in a group setting. So you'll get to interact with each other and you can give each other motivation and share tips with one another, okay? And it's just about building a community, especially within this style of music that is mostly focused on excellence and becoming a greater person as opposed to being a loser. We don't want to be that, okay? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the episode. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for your time and your attention, and we'll see you on the next episode of Iblis Manifestations.